Hello, this is a really brief introduction to the first chapter and chapter 2 from your textbook. So hopefully everybody is apologize for the springtime wind, but it's too pretty not to be outside today. Um, your first two chapters, of course, and the remaining chapters coming from your textbook, drug use and abuse. So if you don't have your textbook yet, certainly encourage you to try to get your hands on that as soon as possible. We don't want to get too far behind with our material. The first chapter is really an introduction chapter on drug use and abuse. Talks about your federal drug classifications in terms of those legal classifications for substances across the board, and provides a pretty good review of alcohol and drug use in the United States. It gives you some resources in terms of surveys we'll be looking at, research documents, and so forth, that provides an overview of who, what, where, when, and sometimes why of drug use. The book does a pretty good job of introducing the DSM-5 classification for defining drug use and at what spectrum. This topic is really to consider the information inside this chapter simply introduction. This in terms of diagnosis and screening and delivering intervention practices. It's a multi-threaded conversation where we have to peel the onion back, the layers of the onion, a lot farther than simply a introduction chapter. But it is good information to know. We will be touching base and looking at diagnostic criteria as we go through the chapter, or not only this chapter, but future chapters. But I do have a fear, though, this being the first week of class, not to overwhelm folks with too much information at one time, and we kind of lose the chance to create a pretty good foundation and get to know each other. Chapter 2, again, the first chapter is not that many pages. It looks like it's, let's see, in terms of number of pages, about 20 pages, a little bit less. Chapter 2 talks about drug use and gives you, for the first chapter, somewhat tries to set the stage, the statistical and research stage. The second chapter does a pretty good job of looking at the history of drug use and some of the legal remedies that's been tried to address drug use in the United States, which is not a new phenomenon. I mean, drug use in one form or another is centuries and centuries old, hundreds of years old, multiple hundreds of years, and the substances and the types of use may change. The intensity of the substance being used may change, but this is not a new phenomenon in human history. Alcohol prohibition, the chapter talks about, which is really just a fascinating period of time in American history, at least. And one has to question how much did we learn and how much have we not learned related to marijuana legalization. And this conversation is happening nationally. We will take a look at marijuana legalization on down the road when we get to that chapter. It's not too far away. And I do want us to spend some time talking about that current debate. Let's see. Chapter 2 also talks about, more intently, current drug laws and current status. And before you know it, we'll be moving on to Chapter 3, but not before we complete Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Again, I'm looking forward to us working together, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.